You couldn't have thought that through. You know, I know you've been behind the walls, but you know 50 didn't fool with Ross. So why did you think it'd be a good idea to get in the pictures and start getting close to dude? For some money? Because he paid you a couple dollars? Did 50 make your son a millionaire? Then you come home to the, you know what I'm saying? Because 50 put your life on TV and had your son playing you?
5-0. Cent went ahead and turned up the heat just when it appeared like the mayhem between him and Big Meech couldn't get any wilder. He is now attacking Boosie and accusing him of treachery. Additionally, many are beginning to name Boosie a snitch, just like they did Big Meech, which has the streets humming. However, what actually happened? Furthermore, why is 50 blasting Boosie? It's going to get messy, so grab some popcorn. It all began when old videos of Boosie announcing with pride that he will be playing at Big Meech's Welcome Back concerts came back to life. It wasn't even the filthy portion, I assure you. Additional clips began to appear. Boosie is shooting directly at 50, claiming that he would have told 50 to fuck off if he were Lil Meech. As you are already aware, 50 was not going to tolerate that. Similar to Rick Ross, Boosie may have made a mistake by turning one of the game's most lovable legends into an antagonist. 50 takes betrayal personally, as everyone knows. He turns it up a notch and abruptly interrupts others. No second chances. He has been attacking Boosie from all sides lately and has also intensified his accusations that Big Meech is a rat. Believe me when I say that 50 is not going to let this feud go away anytime soon.
I'm performing at the Big Meech party. I'm performing. I gave Big Meech my word, that I was gonna perform, and I ain't, I give a man my word. That's my word. I don't know what's going on. I can't just pull away from not performing over something, they got going on with 50 and all this.
Boosie was notorious for keeping his ground against anyone he believed to be a snitch back then. Take a look at his behavior at Row. People therefore anticipated that Boosie would have the same aggressive demeanor when Big Meech's name was mentioned. Instead, he astonished everyone by claiming he had not seen any documents demonstrating Big Meech had ever ratted on anyone. Fans were giving him a lot of side-eye because that maneuver essentially made Charleston White appear good. Not to mention that Boosie immediately canceled their collaborative record when he even had a suspicion that T.I. might be an informant. One thing was always evident to him. No matter who it was, there was no stitching. It appears that all of that strong rhetoric was limited to specific individuals. Boosie quickly responded to the rumors by denying that he was compensated to attend Big Meech's performance. "No, I'm not doing no show for free," he responded. "You guys believe that I would charge someone who had just returned home? You all simply believe that I'm cold-hearted." Regardless of its veracity, 50 Cent and his team weren't buying it. Online rumors quickly portrayed Boosie as someone who selectively identifies which industry scumbags to criticize. You already know that 50 has been raising the alarm on Big Meech for weeks, and he hasn't let up. If you've been following the storm between the two, with a photo that had social media going crazy, 50 really ramped up the heat on Instagram. He captioned a photo of a gigantic rat with the words, "I think I'm Big Meech."
He not boycotting. He said he gave his word to 50. He's going to show up.
Yeah. I saw that. They pick and choose. Not that I'm saying, Meech is a snitch or anything like that. But man, they pick and choose who they want to put the snitch jacket on and who they want it to apply to. So that's why I say
people were shaken by that statement alone. I say because it felt like a double jab, since it is directly from Ross hit BMF. There is one shot directed at Big Meech and another at Rick Ross. However, 50 didn't end there. He intensified. He said maintaining his relationship with Tommy Cowens was the biggest mistake I ever made. The truth is revealed in her Tell a Wall documentary series. People started asking the same question after reading that one phrase. What secret is concealed within that document? A documentary. What is it about 50 that the rest of us don't know? He even published a phone conversation with Tammy Cowan in which she seemed to be about to reveal all of Big Meech's details. The drama was reaching a completely new level at that time. The thing that astonished the internet the most was that Meech and 50 seemed like they had solid smiles in those viral pictures when they first walked out of prison. However, late this February, everything was completely turned upside down when 50 started blasting Meech nonstop. The twist is here. Meech was given a 30-year prison sentence in 2008, but in year 18, he managed to get out. Take a moment to be honest. Everyone on the street was raising their eyebrows at it. At that very moment, the rumors began to escalate into a full-fledged drama. But believe me, it's much more complex than that. The entire scenario appears dubious to someone like 50 Cent right away. But he was targeting Big Meech from every internet aspect, and it wasn't just conjecture. To begin with, once Meech was imprisoned, it was said that his long-standing business partner, Tammy Cowan, had flipped and become an FBI informant. The crazy part comes next. While he was incarcerated, Meech really sold her the rights to his life narrative, giving her complete control over everything BMF. However, the more you go into this, the more repulsive it becomes. Whack 100 went so far as to say that Meech was surreptitiously giving Tammy information while he was incarcerated, sharing everything he overheard behind those walls. Many people think that Meech was able to leave early because Hay was allegedly giving the FBI that information directly.
I'm gonna address this because I'm not trying to let nobody trick me off the streets. But I never folded, never told, never will. Death before dishonor, always with me. So I'm doing this for my loved ones and the support of my friends and family to come out to the Amaran Arena, February 13th.
This is where things become even messier, though. Tammy was no ordinary business associate. Lil Meech plays his own father in the Black Mafia family TV series, which she co-produced with 50 Cent. The history of Tammy and Big Meech began in 2007 when they began collaborating together. Furthermore, according to their own statements, their relationship was more than just business-related. The plot takes a dramatic turn at that point, since many people think Tammy may have crossed the lines and developed genuine love for Meech, fusing pleasure and business. In 2014, when Meech was still incarcerated on those narcotics charges, Tammy spoke candidly about their bond. Could tell you this has been one of the best experiences in my life to have him as my best friend, she stated, outright referring to Meech as her best friend. And let's face it, you had to make a huge mistake when a woman who has been your ride for years suddenly loses it after publicly referring to you as her best friend. However, 50 claims that Meech's greatest error was not just losing Tammy, but also severing her relationship because she is now apparently prepared to reveal all in that tell-all series. And you know who's making it? Not even 50 himself? 50 hit Instagram once more to drive home the point. This time, sharing a video featuring Big Meech's head photoshopped directly on top of a man discussing being a snitch. The message was very obvious. Oh, and wait, if you felt that was petty, 50 was just warming up, after all. There are two main theories as to why Tammy Cowan turned on Big Meech. Either Meech felt marginalized and deceived, or she attempted to reclaim his life rights after she had been defending them and practically running everything while he was incarcerated. Here's the worst part, though. Meech ought to have kept that between himself and Tammy if he was indeed sharing information while incarcerated, because she was the one who knew everything. Remember that Tammy had dedicated years of her professional life to ensuring that Meech's affairs were taken care of, that his reputation was maintained, and that he would have all he needed after he was released. Meech wasn't just letting the internet run wild with the rumors while all of this craziness was going on. He came out blustering, denying all wrongdoing, and asserting that he just left early due to a legal change rather than a betrayal. But here's The problem, many people didn't agree with his story. Why? Due to excellent behavior in the First Step Act, a judge in 2021 only reduced his sentence by 3 years. Furthermore, 3 years pales in comparison to the 12 years that abruptly disappeared from his life. People were scratching their heads over that calculation. Meech also didn't only make a remark. In fact, he made a video reaction in which he addressed those accusations of snitching directly while staring into the camera. Meech's purported answer, let's say, further polarized the public. Prior to all of this, he believed he could compete with 50 on a petty level, but that strategy backfired. He attempted to respond by sharing an old picture of himself and 50. But 50's face was covered with a cheese sticker that read Internet Gangster. Unc was obviously still learning how to use the internet, but it was a very bad move. It didn't stop speculations. Rather, it fueled them, and fans weren't amused. Instead of playing around with subliminals, many wanted Meech to immediately confront those snitching charges, as if things couldn't get any uglier. 50's long-standing nemesis Rick Ross appeared in a video alongside Meech to promote the February 13th show, making things even more heated. By then, it was more than just a feud with Meech. It was turning into a full-scale conflict. Imagine this. While you were imprisoned, your acquaintance helped your kid accumulate wealth and kept you down for years. In order to ensure that your legacy would endure forever, he also made your life into a television series. Then you violate the street code and are at last free. And you make the most petty move imaginable rather than trying to mend your relationship with that friend. You join forces with his bitterest adversary, a man who has been disparaging him for decades. Additionally, you allow that adversary to support your concert in addition to linking with him. Consider the appearance of that. 50 Cent's longtime nemesis Rick Ross is out here publicly co-signing Big Meech while acting like he's the one keeping it together. Let's face it though, Ross was merely advancing his personal interests. As all of this was going on, 50, who has been supporting Meech's kid and preserving the BMF moniker, was sitting there going, oh, so this is what we're doing now. 50 didn't hold back once he realized the drama was developing. Lil Meech plays his father in the BMF series, and he openly threatened to cancel it. Fans recognized at that point that things were becoming authentic. Lil Meech was actually unfollowed on Instagram by 50, who then added insult to injury by stating on his account that Lil Meech would be on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Later today, I'll call Mona on his behalf. Lil Meech knew he had to pick a side quickly after that jab hurt. On the one hand, he was dependent on 50 for both his financial stability and career. Conversely, he had a father who had just been released from prison and had nothing. To make matters worse, 50 sent him direct messages on the internet in which Lil Meech was essentially pleading with him to keep the BMF series going, even making fun of Rick Ross and his own father. This is the message's content. I was the one who introduced you to Rocket when you didn't even know who he was. And now you're managing to have a baby with him after unfollowing me on Instagram. They told me. You are now upset with me for taking the shirt off my back for you. Man, I can't believe this. You behave as though I'm your adversary. I've only ever been faithful and loving to you. I do experience difficulties with my own people, but I never betrayed you. Ross. Ross gave him some bread so he could pay his bills till the start of our next season. Which is the only way my dad even connected with him. I'm confused by this online mess. Dude, I'm someone you actually know. Lil Meech was making a concerted effort to defend himself by outlining everything in his messages. He stated unequivocally his position on his father's abrupt connection to Rick Ross, stating that Ross just provided funds to keep the lights on until the BMF payments resumed. You could still sense the frustration, though. Meech was essentially begging 50 to remember that despite the drama, they shared a genuine connection. Lil Meech was obviously under a lot of stress, but 50 responded with a chilly clap. What season will it be next? Tiny Ninja. That was a deep-cut line. It wasn't merely a comeback. Let's face it, the dagger was aimed directly for the heart. The saddest aspect of all of this insanity is that Lil Meech is the one who is actually suffering due to his father's mess. It's a question. Why did 50 have to go that petty? It's now being asked by many. However, upon closer inspection, it appears that 50 wasn't merely acting shaddily for amusement. He wanted Big Meech to hear it clearly and loudly. And believe me, that message was received. However, many people think that watching Lil Meech disparage his own father in those published direct messages was what truly set 50% off. 50 might have gone over the edge with that move. If you can flip on your own pops this easy, how do I know you won't flip on me next? Was presumably 50's thought instead of considering Lil Meech to be loyal? Not to mention that Mars's 50's own son once betrayed him. When Maris was seen hanging out with Supreme McGriff's kid, one of 50's worst adversaries. Back in 2018, their relationship soured. That betrayal was deeply hurtful. It seems like history is being repeated now that Lil Meech is disparaging his own father. Fans couldn't help but notice how defeated Lil Meech appeared in a recent video that went viral online. His private conversations with 50 were not only disclosed, but they also did not persuade 50 to abandon BMF. Boosie joined in and started clowning Meech on social media, accusing him of sucking up to 50 in order to stay afloat, even though Meech was already facing criticism. 50 Cent, according to Boosie, did more for Lil Meech than any other person in his life. That's why he gave that response. 50 is always the first person he calls to help him get out of jail. Upon witnessing him giggling at his father's message, he's also a snake, he said. This belongs to him. And now that Boosie has stated his position clearly, right after Rick Ross, he appears to be positioning himself to become 50's next adversary. Let's face it though, no one is overtaking Ross as the top 50 rival. However, there is a rift among the fan base. Some are making fun of 54 entangling a 24-year-old in a spat stemming from his father's decisions, while others argue that he has every right to be petty and shut down anyone who supports his operations. The situation becomes much more complicated at that point, since 50 is now being accused of acting like a bully. Not only was Lil Meech being intimidated, but Boosie was also being punked. One significant question remains on the table as a result. Is Lil Meech simply bearing the consequences of his father's repercussions? Or is 50 Cent exaggerating the Big Meech drama? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. Let's listen. If you don't want to miss a single turn in this celebrity drama. So if you liked this breakdown, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, slam the like, and ring the notification bell.